All right. I think we're live. Very good. Well, Michaela, she'll be in here in a minute. This is Jeremiah Harrison with Liturgy of the Home. You can see our wonderful, messy studio right behind us. But so today, this is an idea. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. We want to make a little series of videos walking through each of the calendars. So, well, first of all, for all of you guys who have purchased our calendars, thank you so much. This collaboration we've been doing with Sophia has just been utterly incredible. This little project started a couple years ago, and it's just kind of blown us away how big it's gone. And Michaela will be here in just a minute. Some of you may wonder, well, why is it just Jeremiah? And also realize this is my first time trying this. I'm actually streaming on multiple platforms, and we're streaming from our house out here in the country. So if it gets a little choppy at times, I will slow down or go back over stuff. So kind of bear with me. We're figuring this tech stuff out. I think I'm broadcasting on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. So looks like we got a couple of folks who've already joined us. Go ahead and drop me a line. Say who you are, where you're from, which platform you're on. I kind of want to get feedback to see how well this whole thing works. Hopefully, our plan is to make a video, at least one video per season. And depending upon how in depth the season is, we might do more. But we really want to make one good video going through each season, the art, why we design what we designed, why we drew what we drew. And so this time we're a little bit late. I'm going to go over Advent and Christmas. Right now we're in Christmas right now. Let's see what day is today. Oh, hello. Here's Michaela. There she. Yeah. And there's little Jamie.
Here's our
little Jamie.
I turn this way. There you go. There he is. Our newest little one, baby number 5.
And it's funny. Like there's a story behind Jamie, right? Because his coming really affected this, right? Because it was when she knew she was pregnant with Jamie. Here, do I have my screen?
Sorry.
Oh, goodness. Oh, yes, I know. When we knew we were having Jamie, that's when we knew we had to, because we were making these calendars digitally and releasing them one season at a time. And so when she first got pregnant with Jamie, we knew we wouldn't be able to keep, because we were barely just kind of staying ahead. We were, this whole thing has been a bit of an experiment from the beginning, but it's just been kind of growing like a snowball. And once she knew that she was pregnant with Jamie, we knew we couldn't keep that pace. We were going to have to shift gears and do like multiple seasons at once. And we also felt confident that, it was really time to look for a publisher. And it was very much right after that Sophia got in contact with us, and that really, the Lord just made all that work. So he just came, Jamie just came on
the 12th of December.
12th of December.
Born on the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, which fell on a Sunday
this year.
If you guys looked at the Advent calendar, that's why Our Lady of Guadalupe is in the pillar next to the Sunday. Some people actually celebrated on Monday, so it's kind of cool because it was on the right side. So it was like kind of the pillar between the 2 days, between the Sunday and the Monday. So
right.
So anyway, and then we come to find out that Diego is a derivative of James. And so Juan Diego is basically John James. And so our little Jamie, being born on the 12th, on the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and then we had him baptized in the Feast of John the Apostle. So it was pretty special. So
here, hold on real quick. Hello.
This is.
Hold on.
You
hold it down.
Okay. So anyway, so thank you to everyone who was praying for me or keeping us in your thoughts and prayers, because we needed all that help. He was due on January 6th on the Feast of Epiphany, but I have a tendency to go early. And so I was really trying to be careful that I would not end up going into early labor, because we had our Sophia deadline on the, 12, 13, 14, 15, I think it was on the 15th, we had the deadline. And so when I knew I was going into labor, I thought, oh, this is terrible timing because the deadline's coming up and I'm not quite finished. So, but the labor was super quick. It was very easy. I was able that night, even though I was in bed, I was able to continue doing some of the edits. And then we got a little extension for a few more days. And so it all worked out. We were able to have a baby and still get all the files sent off to Sophia. And so we're doing pretty good.
I figured, I guess let's just jump in. I didn't, I wanted this video to be short for those who want to be short, but then also if we had enough people watching to answer questions toward the end, we could make it go longer. But so I'll be sure and put I'll try to put a tag, like when we actually get started. It's kind of like the first few minutes of just settling in, and if people are going to join us. So our calendars, Advent's already over. But many of you may have questions or wonder, the whole point of these calendars is something you could look at a glance, and it should contain just a whole bunch of stuff all packed in. We're trying to pack in as much theology and things from Don Guerget. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in our screen. Here we go. And bear with me. Some of these tools that I'm using are new. They're new ways to present. So we'll go through here. So starting with the Advent calendar. Oh,
I'm going to grab his blanket.
Michaela's going to run away from me for a minute.
Just for a moment.
The Advent calendar, a very simple format, 4 weeks, the 4 weeks of Advent. And as you see here in this calendar and in all of our calendars, the basic frame, Sundays are double size. You go through all the days. I think most of you probably already know this if you have the companion guide. It explains how we do the different ranks of feasts. You have third class feasts like so, kind of a middle size. Second class feasts have an arch. First class feasts have the banner at the top, and all the other class of feasts have the banner at the bottom. And we've gotten a few questions about this, like about the ranks of feast. And honestly, we're still learning, but some of the research I've done really talks about how within the, there's hierarchies within our world. Well, the same with the saints, the same with the angels. You think of the 9 choirs of angels. And so the church, one of the reasons why she has these different ranks of feasts is remember, Easter is in a different moves each year because of its the way they calculate Easter based on the cycles of the moon. And there's another important factor. So Easter,
Equinox.
yeah, the spring equinox, and then the cycles of the moon. And there's a coincidence of that where Easter always ends up at that point, but that point changes. That is throughout the year. And so Easter can shift dramatically. I think it's over like a month's worth of time.
Yeah.
And so much of the liturgical year is based off of Easter. So many of the feast days are counted back and forward from Easter. And those, as the sort of the liturgical year sort of comes in and out like the tide, if you will, and different days are covered up or superseded. And so by having these ranks, there are a set of rules for when a particular saint will be superseded or not superseded based upon his rank. So feast days of the first rank or solemnities, nothing supersedes them. They always go over what they come over. But you'll notice as we go through these calendars through the years, you'll notice some saints you'll see one year and then you won't see the next year because of how another feast fell on top of that. A really good example is on the 12th of December this year was the third Sunday of Advent. Well, the 12th of December is the Feast of Our Lady Guadalupe. And so we're still able to show reference to both. You just see Our Lady Guadalupe. She's in the framework for this day.
Gaudete Sunday.
Right, which is Gaudete Sunday. And so whenever, the third Sunday of Advent supersedes Our Lady of Guadalupe, but she's not forgotten. And honestly, in the way we drew this, like there's many, we'll go through other days, you'll see where a particular saint in the border will sort of be looking upon the liturgy, the higher ranking liturgy that maybe took that spot this year, right? But every year there's this kind of ebb and flow that we're trying to reflect through the calendars.
So yeah, coming up, we'll have St. Joseph's Feast in May 1st. That's a first class, so it's a solemnity. And it happens this year to fall on a Sunday, and the Sunday is a second class. And so that's why his feast will be celebrated on Sunday rather than the normal second Sunday after Easter. So the ranks kind of help to clarify which liturgy is being celebrated. And so we find that very, very fascinating. And I think in our homes, we're trying to help the children to understand that there are some feasts that are greater and some that are not as great. And I think that should be something we should be trying to reflect in our homes.
Right. Now, one of the things as more people join on, I should be able to see your comments if you guys, for at least certainly for YouTube and Facebook, I believe. We're trying to stream to Instagram as well because we have a lot of folks who watch on Instagram. I'm not sure if I'm going to get those comments. I'm having to use an odd way. So I'm going to be looking as best I can. But if you have a question you want to ask and you're on Instagram, maybe pop over to Facebook or YouTube. You could look up, just hop on YouTube and look for Liturgy of the Home, and you should be able to see the live broadcast going. So anyway, tech stuff like that. Moving along, in the headings of Advent, this is really one of my favorite parts because in the heading, and this was something I remember when you were reading about the three. One of the top themes of Advent is the three comings of Christ. And so in the heading here in this mantle, you see we drew that the three times he comes. He comes in the flesh in history. He comes into the soul whenever you're baptized, when you receive him. And I guess then also when we receive the sacraments, we receive the Holy Eucharist. And then he will come again in judgment and in glory. And there's a lot written. A lot written about that. Probably many of you heard homilies from your priests on that very thing during the season of Advent. And we put that in the calendar to be a constant reminder there too. Mm-hmm. So as far as, are there any notes that you wanted to mention for this first week, second week, for the images, illustrations? We have St. Andrew, we have.
Yes. So Saturday, the first Saturday of Advent.
That's right. This was
Yep. There's a few things that are kind of particularly noteworthy. So the imagery at the bottom, you see the priest with the candles. That is specifically referencing the Rorate Mass, which is a special Mass of Our Lady that's done during the Advent season. I put it on the first Saturday, but some places will celebrate it on one of the other Saturdays of the month. So it's also the feast of St. Peter Chrysologus. Hope I pronounced that right. So he that's the saint who's in the image. That's him kneeling there by Our Lady, adoring our Lord, who that's an image of Our Lady pregnant with the Christ child. Can you zoom in so you can actually see? So. It's very small.
Oh yeah, you can see there it is.
See, there's the Christ child there.
The little one.
The reason why I did Our Lady, like that's the Mass of Our Lady, but specifically the Mass is focusing on Our Lady and our Lord being within her and preparing for the coming of him being born. And so I kind of put all these different elements together. That also happened to be my birthday, so this month. So that was a really special day. I got to go to a Rorate Mass. It was beautiful. It's a Mass that's done before the dawn, and so as you are in the church, it's all lit by candlelight. And as the sun is coming up, the church slowly gets brighter and brighter with the coming of the dawn. And
I think a lot of folks have been able to go. I remember seeing all over social people showing pictures of the Rorate Masses. I know. So
beautiful print. So that's why that's there on the calendar. And then next to it, you see the branch.
The Barber branch.
The Barber branch. You want to talk about that?
Oh, just Saint Barbara. The story of Saint Barbara. She was locked up in a tower, and she was going to be executed by her father. And it said that she took a cherry branch and watered it each day. I think some accounts say she watered it with her tears, all through. I think it was through Advent, right? And it blossomed on Christmas. I believe at the same time that she was put to death. And so this tradition is continued very much in Germany. I wrote about it in the companion guide for Advent, and also you can find more on it. Really, so much of the stuff we're getting, we pull from other places which have compiled a lot of this stuff. We're just trying to represent it and put it in a way where you can easily access it, on your wall like this. And so look up on Fish Eaters. You can see the full account of the Barber branch and an excerpt from Maria von Trapp's around the liturgical year with the von Trapp family. That's where we pulled the Barber branch custom from.
And so the tradition is if it blooms, if you keep it in water indoors during this, starting on the 4th of December all the way through to Christmas, the hope is that it will bloom on Christmas Day.
Right.
So
And
that's
then-
why it's repeated down
And when
there.
they say that everyone in the family gets a branch going, you typically would pick a cutting from a cherry tree, but there are many other trees that could produce the same
any
effect.
spring blossoming plant, so like forsythia or any of the other ones that
I had
bloom this early spring.
in the companion guide. I have a full list of them.
Okay.
But it's said that whoever had the most blooms, they say was Our Lady's favorite that year. Whoever had the most
Yeah,
blooms.
be careful with that, huh?
Yeah, I know.
The kids could run with that.
They could. So that's the first week.
If you zoom in on St. Nicholas.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's elements here that we wish we could have made a little more clear that we could have, but we tried to sort of allude to.
Anyway, I would like to show some of the source images, but we let me first point out a few things on here first.
Sure.
So zoom in. So this is St. Nicholas. You see him holding the child. He's a patron saint. He's one of the patron saints of children. So that's why he's holding a child. And then if you look at the bottom, you see the gold, the sack of gold in the back, because he gave away his treasures to help the poor people. There's the story of the gold coins he left as a dowry for some girls that didn't have a dowry. And then you see the shoes there. Zoom in on the shoes. So the tradition is for the children to put out their shoes, and St. Nicholas comes and fills it with goodies. So our kids all put out their shoes on the eve of the Feast of St. Nicholas. And then on his stole, you can't really see it very well, but if you zoom in a little more, is that as far as you can zoom?
Well, you see it clearly, as clearly as you're going to.
Anyway, on his stole, I put the three children in the
who were being pickled.
They were being pickled.
And say that they died, right? He raised them back to life.
Yeah, there were three children that were in the pickling brine, and he came and brought them back to life. So that's in his stole. It's very discreet, but if kids are looking for it, it's there. And the St. Ambrose is next to him, and he's holding a beehive, because the tradition is when he was a baby, the bees came and rested around his mouth, because the words that he was to preach would be like honey. And so he's holding the beehive there. And then in the background there, you see the holly. Each season I put a different plant in the background of these saints, or throughout the calendar. And so the holly is there, referencing both the thorny leaves kind of prefigure the sufferings that Christ would undergo, and then the red berries, recall the blood that he shed for us.
Christ's blood.
So
and then also times of day too, right? It's
right.
Every a lot of the imagery for the saints of a season, if they're not depicted indoors or something, there's a time of day that's going to unfold through the whole calendar. So in the Advent calendar, we're in the night, we're in the darkness before the dawn, before Christ's coming. As you basically notice through this whole liturgical year, by the time we get to the end of the year, I guess it'll be getting dark again, but all through the year, it's going to be getting brighter and brighter. Like we're going to go through one celestial day through this whole year, essentially.
Right, because they say that Christ came, when the days were the shortest and the night the longest, the darkest time. And from the time of his birth, slowly the days begin to get longer. And so John the Baptist and Christ are kind of at two different ends of that. So from the Feast of John the Baptist in the middle of the summer, the days grow shorter. And then, like John the Baptist said, I must decrease and he must increase.
Right.
And then from the time of Christ's birth, the days increase in their length. And so I wanted to reflect that in the background.
So when we get to John the Baptist, the background will be like full bright day.
Right.
Full bright day.
That's my intention.
And some of you may wonder, on the Feria days for the Advent calendar, we took to describing scenes, closer to home, kind of scenes of, I know you were thinking, helping the children prepare for Christmas.
Yes.
And then we also took readings. Most of these readings will come from the Mass of the preceding Sunday. So like this text here and these banners, I think usually comes from the gradual. Usually you pull from the gradual.
Oftentimes I will, but sometimes the introit or other parts of the Mass.
It's amazing, I think, how well it fits so many times.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to really make that fit. But then also you see, like on this day, on the 10th of December, there was a lot going on here because we had a commemoration of Saint Melchiades, and we have also the older historical feast of Our Lady of Loretto. So through the calendars, we sort of have these layers of imagery. We can depict, the what is prime to that feast day, but we also can depict older, more historical, and we also, this is how the commemorations. You'll notice this throughout all the calendars. This is not a saint's feast day right now. This is a feria, but upon this feria, they commemorate Saint Melchiades, and then also Our Lady of Loretto. So that was a pretty packed day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have, that's a third class. Then we have here next to it Saint Damasus on that Saturday, Damasus the first.
Mm-hmm.
So in the companion guide that I'm putting together, I'm essentially taking from Dom Guéranger and making it shorter. I'm taking only part. Dom Guéranger's, the liturgical year, it's huge. And, the companion guide itself is a bit of an experiment. We've gotten some feedback, and I realize the companion guide that many of you may have seen that, downloading 1 week at a time is really big. It's not as big as Dom Guéranger. It's much smaller than that, but it's still big. And a lot of folks, I think, maybe can't use it as much or as well as I'd like. We realize that there's a need for a companion guide to go with each calendar that's more like 4 or 5 pages long for the whole calendar, something like that. But that actually takes a lot of work to make. I'm hoping we can make something like that next year. But this year, basically, that's what these videos arrived to me. If we do these videos can be a half hour or an hour. I guess knowing us, we always go long. A walkthrough where we can have that level of detail. And then if you want to know more, you get the companion guide, and there will be a biography of each and every saint. So in the companion guide for Advent, and the companion guides are available free. Many of you may know we have an online membership. Because Sophia has the rights to print these. So if you want to get a physical copy, you got to purchase it from Sophia. But if you want to get digital copies, we have a membership. If you're a member, you can get black and white calendars. You can get all of our color calendars. You can also get coloring pages for all the saints' feast days and our monthly dedications. But the companion books are freely available because I want everybody, including like folks who buy the physical copies from Sophia, but yet don't get the membership. I want them to still have access to the companion guide. So those are free. If you haven't checked it out before, check it out. I say that they are a bit big. I typically try to keep every saint's feast day down to 2 pages. And then every Sunday will be 4 pages. Although Christmas, some of you may notice, I broke that convention just because there was just so much good content I couldn't cut. But I should be able to return to that convention when we go through Epiphany, I'm hoping. So for those of you you've noticed that. If not, check it out. It's a free PDF. You can download it, print it out. Somebody commented that they tried to turn it into an ebook so they could view it on their Kindle or whatnot. I'm actually looking in, maybe I might be able, and it didn't work for them. When they did that, it didn't work well. I'm actually going to explore to see if I can produce the companion guide in an EPUB. So that way you could actually view it on your Kindle or your iPad or whatnot, and it'll look good. So give me some time on that. We'll see if I can get to that. That's my little detour about the companion guide. Moving along, I know the next real prominent feature of the Antiphons. That's the next of my favorite features. Was there something you wanted to say about the third week or before we went to the Antiphons?
Definitely point out the Ember. That's the week of the winter Ember tide. And that's something that's, people are starting to rediscover. That's an ancient tradition, the 4 Ember seasons of the year. This is the winter one. And this is traditionally the Ember tides is when the Saturday of Ember tide is when the priests were ordained. So we're not only
the Saturday of any of the Ember tides, or just the spring?
I believe it's any of the Ember tides, because it was a time of fasting and praying for the harvest. And there was different focuses. So the winter ones was focusing on the harvest of the olives and the
pressing
oil
into wine.
Yep. Well, oil. The olive oil.
Very good.
But on some of the other ones, I think on the spring Ember tide, actually show a little image of a priest being ordained to kind of highlight that. So some of you may wonder why on the Wednesday of Ember tide, why I did words there, and that as opposed to an image. And I did that because it's the word, the gospel is referencing the Annunciation. And since the Feast of the Annunciation comes later on in March, I didn't want to confuse the children by thinking that it was a feast day of the Annunciation. And so I just took the words of the gospel and put them there. So anyway, little things like that. I try very hard to not repeat the same imagery, so it's clear to the children what when the feast day is coming. So okay.
We got a great question here from Ben Blackhawk. Can you say something about the medium, paint, markers? Yeah, how did you color all this, dear? And it wasn't just you coloring it, was it?
No, it's a group effort. So we've switched. Originally, I did the draft in first in pencil, then using a light box, I transferred it to pen and ink on paper, scanned that in, and then transferred it to watercolor paper, and we did it in watercolor. Since we've been getting better with our technique, I've switched over and I do my draft now directly on the tablet. I can get much cleaner black and white lines that way. When I was doing pen and ink and scanning it in, it was still a little fuzzy. And because we're making coloring pages out of everything, I wanted really clean line work. So I now draw the black and white on a tablet. And we got a printer that can print on watercolor paper. So I take my black and white, I lighten it and change the color so it's very faint. And I actually print that. I print all of the black and white
line work.
I print all the line work onto watercolor paper. And then my sister Rose does it in watercolor. So basically she paints it. And we work together. It's her desk in the background that you see behind us. So we're at my desk with my computer doing this live stream, and then her desk is right next to mine. Oh, thank you. Well, the colors she and I collaborate on, and then after she's finished a first pass on the painting, it gets rescanned back into the computer, and then I do touch-up work in Photoshop. So I actually have a brush pen that I can digitally make edits.
I wonder if I zoom in, you might be able to see the difference between the actual watercolor and then the digital watercolor.
It's very faint, but yes.
Yeah, we try to blend it where you really can't. We want to make it to where you really can't really tell. Yeah. But it's a really neat process.
Yeah, it's really collaborative. So even my other sister, Kateri, she does all the stitching together, but she'll come in and she'll also add some of the colors and different things. So like that whole scene, zoom in on the Bethlehem town.
Oh yeah. This is really cool.
So this whole scene was created so my sister Rose, I asked her, I said, can you please give me, I think it was 5 different swatches of wood. So basically she had squares, like 5 different squares, and she filled them in with different grains of wood. And then Kateri took those 5 scans, and she basically cut out these different shapes.
No, Rose did this.
Oh, Rose.
This is Rose that did
Didn't they both work
on that? So okay, so we got to step back.
Sorry.
Wood is the material we chose for the Advent calendar because wood to be connected to penance and to the cross. So each season we design the frame to really embody the spirit of that season. And so we chose wood, and so we try to stick to that, sticking to that material. Later in the year, when you see the Lent calendar, you'll see it's all wood. But sometimes we want to find some ways to bring color into the frame without breaking with our convention. And I forget which was discovered. We discovered the technique of wood inlays. Carpenters actually do this. They'll take wood, different kinds of wood, and they'll carefully cut the shapes and then lay one. You can have a bird, for example, made with 5 or 6 different shades of wood all laid together to where, and it looks just like this. It looks like what you see here. And so we did a digital wood inlay, and that's what Michaela was saying. Rose would actually paint a big block of just wood, making wood grain in different colors, and then she would just unmask a particular wood color right where she wanted. So this right here, it's like a carefully intricate wood inlay.
It's like a puzzle.
It's like a puzzle, the way it's fitted together, all these different kinds of wood. That's the effect we're going for, and I think it just came out so nice.
So the convention, though, explain the convention of why we have color for the images and then
Well, I
don't
mean,
use color.
it just makes it clear where the days are and where the week and where the themes for the season are.
Right.
If we, there's so much packed into the calendars, we have to sort of limit ourselves to what we do on the frame and what we do in the images, so the eye knows
It's clear.
you know what to look at, you know how to, because really when you look at the black and white, it can be a bit overwhelming. I think I may even have a black and white slide I can show you. Here we go. Here's Advent. Now see, this is when Michaela said the tablet, we have a basically a gigantic monitor which you can draw right on. It's a computer monitor you draw right on. She uses Photoshop, and so she could zoom in at any level resolution and draw right there. That's how she makes the black and white line work that's then printed out in really light yellow, and then Rosie will paint all over it, and then it'll be scanned back in. And Kateri is our digital. She's our Photoshop queen, because she takes all of these different separately created images and then joins them all together into one on the calendar.
We didn't start that way. We started with just drawing them all, and then
all
realized
is
that
one, right?
all is one poster, and we realized every year we have to redraw it all. And so
you couldn't get that good detail either.
That's true,
I mean, if you look at so when we realized we wanted to repurpose the imagery, because we want to be able to publish this every year, and we want to be able to rearrange it to where all of the feast days fall where they need to fall. Like for example, here the Immaculate Conception falls on a Wednesday, but next year it's going to fall on a different day of the week, or maybe even a different week within Advent. And so we're going to need to move around. And of course, when a feast falls upon another feast and supersedes it, we need to change the image there, or put some of the piece in the framework. So every year, much of the imagery will remain the same once we've sort of brought it to its fullness, but we'll be redrawing pieces of it. Like as you notice, the way that the mantle fits here with Our Lady with the Immaculate Conception, if this feast were to be moved to another day, all of this has to be sort of rearranged and redrawn to some degree.
Sorry,
so some of it will have to be redone each year, but not all of it. It's kind of how we've picked the form that we've picked to do this so far. So then there's Theo Antiphons. Was there something you want to say about the Theo Antiphons? I think I love the design she came up with. You'll notice some of these are taken from, like this is coming from an Eastern icon, this particular O Adonai.
Should we show some of our source images?
Sure. I
Advent?
can bring them queued up, I think. Let's see. I think, is this this is the Christmas one. Here we go. I think this is actually.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, here's
this is for O Adonai.
Well,
I'll go back over to show you the
Roddy's Jesse.
Oh yeah, Roddy's Jesse. I'm sorry, Roddy's Jesse. And you can see.
This is where I pulled. This is one of my inspiration for that image.
Well, I've seen several. There's many different medieval paintings similar to this. Mm-hmm. So, but this
was the particular composition. There's a lot of different variations on it, but you have Jesse there at the bottom, and then the tree is the branch is coming from him, and then Christ, Our Lady, and then Christ is the flowering of that tree.
And you see, and this year one neat thing, we were able to make all the O Antiphons as a separate downloadable, and a lot of folks purchased that, and then they could print it out on a nice cardstock and hang the O Antiphon ornaments on the tree.
Yeah, we usually get our Christmas tree on the 17th, on the first day of the O Antiphons, and then each night when we light the Advent wreath and sing "O Come Emmanuel," we process over to the tree, and then the children take turns hanging the different O Antiphons on the tree. So that was really special. That worked out pretty well this year.
Right.
Each year we try different, some things stay the same, and some things, we tweak. There you go. That's the one for O Adonai.
Oh, I don't, right. And this comes from, there's a tradition, many traditions, very old traditions, ancient traditions of the East were associating the burning bush with Our Lady, who carried Christ within her. The burning bush, who carried the glory of God while not being consumed, and Our Lady carried within her womb the incarnate Word.
Mm-hmm. Without her virginity being
without
tainted at all,
broken or taken away from. So there's just so much amazing old art that we've been able to view and pull together and draw from. And really, this is the rich heritage we have as Catholics and as Christians. And I don't know. I think I attribute part of the success of this project to it's so beautiful. All we're doing is just wandering through this treasure house, kind of plucking these things and then arranging them all together in sort of a calendar bouquet. But
Can we show them some more source images?
yes, what would you like? I guess we'll just walk through really quickly because we're about to go from Advent to Christmas, but we can walk through the source images for Advent. I will go back to the beginning right quick.
All right. Sorry, these are out of order, but this is taken from the Missal. This is the Sunday, second Sunday, I believe. So you can see I really use a lot of the same composition, but it's a little adjusted in order to fit the space better. But this is John the Baptist in prison and then pointing to Christ. He's trying to see Christ in the background.
Are you the one, or should we look for another?
Yes. All right, go ahead. Next one. This is the image I used for O Come Emmanuel. So the last of the Theo Antiphons. So you see the similarities, but also the differences. It's a sweet image. I pull from a lot of different styles, but in the end, it all still kind of comes together.
Because it goes through your hand and looks just like.
All right, so we saw that one.
Looks like what? Oh, and this is for Our Lady of Loretto.
Yep, this
correct?
Was the image I used for the house.
So we just for the.
Right there. So see, I used that.
You can see right there, and we just took it and displayed it as wood.
Yep.
So as like an engraving.
There we go.
And then this is where you pulled for the Rorate Mass.
Yep.
On Saint Peter Chrysologus' day.
Yep, there she is.
Yep.
A little different because I tried to do Our Lady with the blue, so it's a little more.
You can kind of go back and forth. You see that?
It's a little darker there in that one.
So.
Is there any more? Or is that it?
Oh, you got quite a few. Let's see if I can get all the way out.
There it goes. All right.
All right. And many of you may have recognized this. There's a lot of missals that have this image when we got we designed for that same for Our Lady.
That's in the St. Andrew's Missal.
Yes, which is like my favorite missal. I love the St. Andrew's for the images. I just think that's. But I mean, really, we could go on. This video would go too long if we were to stop up, talk about the symbolism in each and every image. What was really neat, though, is this calendar, the way it's connected to the liturgical year. Many of you are, attending liturgy. Your priests are going to be talking about the very things why we drew what we drew. So, doubtless many of you, when you went to Mass for the Immaculate Conception, that the very thing the priests are calling our attention to, that's what we drew. So it fits. He fits. I like this. Oh, okay. Here we go. I like this comment right here. I want to bring this up. He saith unto them, therefore, every scribe instructed in the kingdom of heaven is like to a man that is a householder who brings forth out his treasure, new things and old. Well,
kind of like what we're doing.
That's this patrimony of the church is ancient, but yet we're trying to represent it ever anew. And there's a lot of Catholics or artists out there that are trying to make beautiful art. We just want to join them. And I hope as we are seeking to reclaim tradition, I pray that there are more and more useful, beautiful things that folks can use, families can use in their homes. And really also we got to bring back the beautiful art in our churches.
I think there's a revival going on, but we've had so much good art has been lost, and a lot of people aren't aware of the beautiful art, heritage we have. So it's a rediscovery for a lot of people. So
and I guess this project can kind of be in a way because you're grabbing little bits and pieces from all different places, and so when people look at the calendars, they're sort of seeing an arrangement all together.
Yeah. So here's this picture. Oh, all right. This picture is taken on the occasion of the celebration of the Feast of St. Lucy. This is a classic dress with the candles on her head. There's a lot of traditions around the Feast of St. Lucy. She's down there. So I took my image a lot from that. But see how she's holding a palm branch because she's a martyr. And then she's holding the eyes in the cup because of the tradition that her eyes were particularly beautiful, and so they took them out during one of her tortures. But then I believe the tradition is that I think it was St. Peter. It was basically her eyes were restored to her and they were more beautiful than ever. But that's why she's shown holding the eyes in the cup.
And there's many medieval images of her shown holding her eyes like
yes.
that. Dr. Tatum Marshall did a video on this, and he showed
Oh,
one of the very paintings that we found in our image research. He showed.
Okay.
So
Lovely.
there's a few well known.
A lot of girls love that particular image, and the coloring page that goes along with it. The girls like to color it a lot, and we didn't get our daughters to dress up this year, but hopefully next year we can do that.
Right.
Jamie had just been born the day before.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So we were a little distracted. I wasn't even home.
You know, and we've been working on volume 2. So, you know, we've been drawing for all of Lent, and she's been drawing for all of Lent and Easter, and the files were due to Sophia on the 15th, and Jamie came on the 12th.
I was telling them while you were out a little bit about that, but yes. So anyway, this is another image of Our Lady as the Christ bearer. So you see him inside of her, and so that's just another picture like the other one, but this is in the icon style, whereas the other one was in a different, more European style.
Wait, you're talking about which one?
The other image we showed of the one that I used
for the Rorate,
for the Rorate
mass.
But this is an icon of the same subject.
Right.
That's the one. That's St. Peter Chrysologus. So that's
where
I got the composition
here we go.
for him kneeling.
Right, for him. So you see him in the. So that many times she does this. She'll take multiple images and blend them together. So here, the figure of Peter Chrysologus comes from here, and then the figure for Our Lady came from that other image that we showed earlier.
Yep.
So, and then this is Saint Bibiana.
Mm-hmm.
Saint Bibiana, where her story is. So all the martyrs, especially all the martyrs from the first ages of the church, their stories are just absolutely amazing. We really couldn't read their stories too much, honestly. Especially as things get more difficult or more dark, you know, with clamping down on the traditional liturgy. And let's take our cues from the martyrs. Stand up for Christ and be willing to go whatever distance it takes to stay faithful. So, and then on this.
So this is where I got the composition for St. Nicholas, but notice he doesn't have a beard in this picture. And so I added the beard and then changed it around a little bit.
And there are many other images where he does have a beard, though.
Exactly. So I liked the composition of him holding the child, but I took the beard and other elements from other images and so put it all together, where this is not as recognized. Children definitely associate St. Nicholas with a beard generally in our culture. And so that's why I did that compilation.
I think, we're getting close. We have 2 more pictures for this set.
Okay.
Of course, this is from the third Sunday. Is that right? Fourth?
I think this is the fourth, right?
Nope. Wait. Well, there's both. No, it's fourth. Okay, you're right. It's fourth. Well, because he's in John is in the water each time.
Both times.
Right. It's kind of like both Gospels, I think, are taking place around the same time, but John is baptizing here. Oh, and here's a neat little thing. You know, did you tell me about the shell?
Oh, no, I did not.
So James, we named our little one James. His godfather had a shell from the Santiago Way in Spain that he picked up. It was on the Camino, and it was touched to
the relic of St. James.
To the relic of St. James, and we were able to get ask the priest to use that shell to pour water to baptize James. I thought that was pretty cool. So here's an image of that thing, John the Baptist using the shell to scoop up the water. And then this is our last one for Advent, and this is where you see we got elements for O Sapientia, the wisdom that has created and ordered all things. I'll show it briefly on the calendar. And as you see, so you see in this image here, I think this is supposed to be creation of God the Father of creation, right?
Yes. So what I did for this one is this is showing, in a sense, the creation of the world.
Right.
And the Ghent Altar piece has an image of our Lord. And they say that you see the face of God the Father. Sorry, you see God the Father in the face of Christ. And so in the calendar, I drew it where it's Christ, but God the Father is there, in the face of Christ. So
But also, I think it teaches our Lord, who is the Word, the wisdom that orders all things. Right. So
Right.
there's
So this
there's
is
an
basically
appropriate
showing that
connection
this
there.
is the
Yeah.
wisdom ordering all
Right.
things with the moon, the
All
sun,
things, yeah.
and you have the Alpha and the Omega, and then the cherubim there on either side.
So, and then at the very end, now, okay, can you tell us a little bit about, I didn't study, but Adam and Eve Day?
Yes.
People may have wondered, what is this? And if you Google it, you probably would have found, but.
So this is a day that traditionally, I think since medieval times, has been celebrated as sort of a day in honor of Adam and Eve, because this is the vigil of the birth of what it will be their salvation, because Christ comes the next day. And so since they're the ones that are, representing all of us who are waiting, because Christ promised a redeemer, and all the Old Testament is the time of waiting for that redeemer. And so Adam and Eve are there kind of looking upon the scene there below them. So I just kind of snuck them in. There's so many traditions related to the vigil of Christmas, but they're certainly one of them. So.
And with this, we end our walkthrough for Advent, and then we go through into the season where we presently are. And you see the wood of Advent gives way to the brilliant gold. You can see it's in the background of our live cast. I'm using the image at the bottom of our calendar. That's kind of the background. But the Christmas calendar, I just love this calendar so much. There's a lot here. So how would you have to walk through this one, dear?
Well, you see there the shepherds coming, and then with them all of us who are there at the midnight mass coming up to see our Lord. So there's children there and people of various walks of life coming to adore the Christ child. And then you have there the number 1 with the partridge and the pear tree, because this whole calendar is this is the 12 days of Christmas. All the days between Christmas and Epiphany.
Now, and I did some research on this, and there's differing. So the whole thing of the 12 days of Christmas song, or even like when the 12 days of Christmas start, there actually is debate. So I've read some sources that say that Christmas is the first day of Christmas. I've read other sources that say that the next day is actually the first day, which would put the 12th day on Epiphany. So being that this is sort of there's different versions of this tradition, we realized we were just going to have to choose one and kind of fix upon it, or try to choose the best one that we could. Because as many of you know, on the Christmas calendar, each day of Christmas is marked for its day. And the symbol that you see there is coming from that song that most of us in America know of the 12 days of Christmas. My true love gave to me a partridge.
Our kids sing it every day.
But since we've had this calendar up, they've completely learned it. But they've not just learned it, they've learned all the associations down below. So having the calendar has really interested them that's why, I've noticed that's why they've been singing it every day. And then they would ask me, what do all these symbols mean? And that's another reason why we needed to make this video, is we needed to talk about that. So for our purposes, we fixed the first day of Christmas to be Christmas Day itself, which makes the 12th day of Christmas the vigil of Epiphany. And in my mind, Epiphany starts sort of the next part. Now, but really, we've chosen to make this calendar only the 12 days of Christmas. Like some of you may wonder, why isn't Epiphany on here? Like on the Advent calendar, we went through 4 weeks, but here you see the Christmas calendars. There's a lot of space that are not days. Christmas was on a Saturday this year, and so it is the only day on this row. But see, there are other years where Christmas may not be on a Saturday, and so there would actually be other days on this row. If any of you were with us last year, because we've been illustrating for a little while now, you would have noticed Christmas was on a Friday, and the day after Christmas was St. Stephen's Day. And on last year's calendar, St. Stephen was actually drawn here as a day.
Yep.
So every year, Christmas is going to slide, be in a different position. I guess one year it's going to be on a Sunday. And that's when we have to get creative for how we use our space and how much space we have based on this form. But we did this so that way Epiphany would open up with its own season. But yet, properly speaking, I think this is still the season of Christmas all the way through Candlemas, I believe. Yeah. So Epiphany and Christmas sort of go together. But
the 12 days of Christmas, I just feel like it needed its own calendar. Yeah. It's worked out really well.
So since we're here, I'll go ahead and walk through. So this is what I call our, I like to call it, I'm kind of weird. We might want to find a different name, but I call it our Christmas apocalypse.
Apocalypse, people generally think like
end of time, like scary. But so the word apocalypse means unveiling. It means to reveal. And I don't know why this idea came to me, but this drawing down here is kind of like a revelation of like all of the most of the key aspects of our faith, kind of all revealed in a very glorious way. And the way I think of it is, our Lord will come at the end of time, the final unveiling, the final apocalypse, the dies irae, the day of terror and judgment, and the day that, he calls his friends. But the first time he came in mercy. He came sweetly. He came to invite the world, right? To invite us to repent of our sins. And so I think since we look back over 2,000 years of tradition and history, those who were there that day did not know what was happening. But when we commemorate this feast every year, we do know, looking back, what the fathers have written, what the church has written. And so I feel that we can have a kind of Christmas apocalypse and an unveiling of the coming of the mercy of God into the world. And so what you find here are a correspondence between each of the items in the 12 Days of Christmas song. So you have number 1, the partridge in a pear tree. See, our Lord's holding a little partridge, stands for our Lord.
And the tree is the cross.
And the tree is the cross. 2 comes from the 2 testaments, 2 turtle doves, the Old and the New Testament. 3 signifies the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And 4 signifies the 4 gospel writers. You have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the angel, the lion, the ox, and the eagle. 5 is reference to the 5 books of the Pentateuch, the first books of the Old Testament written by Moses. 6 alludes to the 6 days of creation. Each of these symbols figured here. When he first separates, the second day, separating the waters from the waters. First day is when he creates
the darkness and the light, and separated them.
And then we bring forth the land separated from the seas and plants. Is that right? On the third day?
I don't remember all the exact words for it,
and
but
then the sun and the moon and the stars, and then the fowl of the air, and I think the fish of the sea, and then finally the animals,
the
beasts, and then man on the 6th day. And then 7 is a reference to the 7 sacraments of the church, the 7 life-giving waters to our souls, right? Hence figured in these rivers down here. And then the 8 is for the 8 Beatitudes. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. And then, do you remember the anchor?
Yeah, I think it's those who will. The anchor symbolizes heaven, so
the
it's
kingdom of God.
They will.
Yeah, but for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, right?
I think so. Yeah.
We should know this better.
I have our inserts.
We have our cheat sheet.
Well, no, I don't have it with me right now.
And then blessed are the peacemakers, right? That's for the wreaths.
Yep.
For they shall be called children of God. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
That one's the peacemakers.
Oh, this is the peacemakers?
Yeah.
Oh, I get these two confused. Do you remember which one this was?
Which one? The palm?
No, the palms and the heart.
Yeah, the palm is blessed are those who are persecuted.
That's down here. This palm.
Oh, right? Yes. Okay.
So this right here, the wreath, the heart.
Oh, the wreath. That
which one do
was
we have
the other one. Whichever one. I'm sorry.
Sorry, pardon us.
I blame everything on postpartum brain. So if I can't remember something.
But I don't. What do I have to blame?
Oh, sorry. Then you're just stuck. Okay.
So, and then 9, the 9 choirs of angels. Now, and I don't remember all the names of all of them, but we know we have the seraphim, the cherubim, the thrones. Then you have the dominations, the powers, principalities.
And then go over the other side, because the other side is this is the archangels,
angels, and then one last. So each of these figures represents a choir.
Yep.
Each of the 3 figures here. These 2 are representing the seraphim. These 2 are the cherubim, and then these 2 are the thrones.
Yep.
And then on this side too, each figure is a particular choir.
Yep.
And all the ranks. And then the 10 comes for the 10 commandments, and we figured them as they've traditionally been figured. The first 3 that define our relationship to God, and the remaining 7 that define our relationship with our fellow men. And then the 11 are for the 11 faithful apostles. And this image she actually took from the carvings on Notre Dame. And these are the 11 faithful apostles. As we know, Judas was a traitor. Of course, he was replaced, but still, the 11 original apostles. And then finally, 12 are for the 12 points of the creed. And these are the stars. We have 12 stars here. There's 12 stars in the sky are for the 12 points of the creed. So as you learn the song, this is what to associate each of those things with.
Mm-hmm. Also,
And-
so I know Jeremiah is calling it an apocalypse. I took the design and styling from the traditional medieval tympanums, which the tympanum is the carved piece above the portal to the church, or the entrance to the church, and that is typically always when you're walking under the tympanum. It's the imagery is of Christ coming in the final judgment, so kind of like the apocalypse. But here you have Christ coming to us as a child, and that's kind of what the Christmas season is focused on. And if we accept him in his coming to us, then when he comes in the final judgment, we'll have nothing to fear. But for those who reject him, when he comes to them as a child, they have everything to fear at the final judgment. So that's part of the reason for that composition. We should talk about, okay, so on the first Sunday after Christmas, this is the scene from the Gospel of the Prophecy of Simeon. This is not the Feast of the Presentation in the Temple. That won't be till February 2nd. But
that's in our Epiphany calendar.
That's in our Epiphany calendar, part 2. So the circles on either side, those are the 2 prophecies. And so that's what the words are. This child is set for the rising and the falling of many in Israel. So I chose the symbol there is the symbol of Christ, and then the Jewish stars. There's the stars that are up, and then the stars look like they've fallen, and so that's why that composition was chosen. And then you have the Immaculate Heart of Mary with the sword piercing her heart. Just imagery to help the children understand the words a little better of the gospel. And then Saint Stephen, he's kind of moved out of the way because the sun
is 26th, but
right. So he'll be, I think, on Monday, I guess, next year.
But as you depict the saint, so he's looking. It's like he's watching
the
liturgy. He's there. Always, if you look carefully, always she illustrates all the characters as though they are all together, aware of one another, looking upon one another. Whenever you see like a major feast day of Our Lady or of our Lord, many times all the saints surrounding the saints' days will be looking, kind of paying homage to. So we're sort of really illustrating that we are all one great big family. You see here, St. John seems to be looking upon the liturgy, looking at Simeon and the child Christ. So I think that's to reiterate this point that we are all one family, the church triumphant, the church militant, and the church suffering. We are one family. And that these are our models. Like, we should be encouraged and to strive to be like the saints.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why we exist. Basically, it's the reason why we live.
So that's obviously the Feast of St. John, like he was pointing out. So there's the eagle next to him. And then the next day, the Feast of the Holy Innocence. I really was happy with this composition because most of the images of Holy Innocence show the act of all the babies being slaughtered. And that's a very difficult thing for children to look upon, even though it did happen. But I decided to go with this composition, which is the angels, the guardian angels of the souls of those children, bearing them up to heaven. When we go through source images, you'll see some of where I got this idea and some of these references for it. But I'm really happy. So there's the Holy Family heading off to Egypt, fleeing, and then St. Thomas Becket is there.
And if you noticed, if any of you got the companion guide for Christmas, you noticed it was pretty big. The readings for St. Thomas Becket, I thought I couldn't shorten them at all. I stuck with the whole commentary that Dom Guéranger gave for this day. I believe his story is just incredible. Even if you haven't gotten it, I encourage you to get the companion guide, even if you just print out the pages with St. Thomas Becket, because I believe his story is so appropriate for our day. Why did he die? What did he die for? The liberty of the church. And you just got to read it. And I think you'll understand it's very appropriate to the trials that we are going through today.
Yeah. So then the next image is children coming.
Oh, and one quick thing. This is a new convention we developed for the first time.
Yes.
This is a Feria day, fifth day in the octave of Christmas. This is not the Feast of St. Thomas Becket. He's commemorated in the liturgy. So we took this convention where, instead of, as you see on this Feria day, Michaela did an original composition of showing, all of the children of the world coming to the Christ child. On this day, this commemoration sheet did an image for St. Thomas of Becket. And instead of illustrating him in his niche, like you see the others, she pulled the symbols of him. So the mitre of his bishop and his coat of arms. And then, of course, the palm for he was martyred. So you'll see this in all throughout the year. There will be some Feria days that will not have a commemoration. And many times Michaela will pull in something from the liturgy, something from the breviary or the readings of the office. The monks, they do their readings outside of Mass and Matins and other times. She'll pull that, or she'll do a composition like this. So kind of look for that. Look for how we do commemorations in those two ways.
Well, same with St. Sylvester on the other side.
Right. So
he's a commemoration,
and that's today. Right? Today, we're on the 7th day in the Octave of Christmas, and the commemoration of St. Sylvester. And you've got one thing, I should have said this earlier. I've got to plug Sensus Fidelium. All of you may already be subscribed, but you've got to subscribe if you're not, because he puts on their homilies for each and every day. And there's most every day there's an awesome homily about the saint, commemorate the history of that saint. And today's homily was really, really informative. And honestly, they go, this calendar is kind of like a companion that can go with that. So check that out. Sensus Fidelium, subscribe to that channel, listen to those homilies for the saints of the day.
Mm-hmm. And then tomorrow is the feast of the circumcision. When Christ, the first time he shed his blood for us. I have there the angel with the word saying what his name will be. Because that's when he was given his name. So on the new calendar, it's the feast of Our Lady. What's it called? I'm trying to remember what's on the new calendar.
I don't know.
Anyway, Our Lady's in this picture too. So even for people following the new calendar, there's still a lot of crossover.
Right.
And then this is the Feast of the Holy Name of Jesus, which
Sunday.
The month of January, the whole month is dedicated to the Holy Name of Jesus. So I just finished the January dedication image, and it's sort of similar. This is different. Too.
Right. Yeah. So if those of you who are not members may not know, but we have a series of monthly dedication images. For every month of the year, we make an image and we pull a hymn. And she illustrates the image and kind of draws the hymn such that you could print it out and put it in a prominent place to display in your home. What that month is dedicated to. It'll be a 12-image series.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's just finishing up the December image, which is dedicated to the Holy Name of Jesus. So that's available in our membership. I'm also working on making that available in our shop. I want to be able to make most of these resources available in the shop. If you get in our membership, it's less expensive basically to get all the stuff that we offer. But then, people can purchase individually in our shop as well as I get that up.
And then we have 2 Feria days. And so there's Christmas carols and then children giving gifts. But these words are taken from the Christmas song. So joy to the world, the Lord has come, and let earth receive her king. Let every heart prepare him room. That's obviously from the song. But this is the children giving gifts, and then the Christ child is there because what you give to others, what you do to least of my brethren, you do unto me. And so I put that there. And then the last there's Saint Telesphorus. Oh, praise Lord, all you nations, praise him, all you people. That's taken, I'm sure, from liturgy on Sunday. And then he's looking at the Gloria in Excelsis Deo. The reason why that's put there is because he's the one that is credited with having put that into the Mass, and it fits with our with the Christmas theme. So that's why that's there. And then this whole spread here, the monochromatic, that's the 3 kings coming, and they're looking at the star. It's the same star as at the top. And then the next day we'll begin. Someone's awake. The next spread will begin the season of Epiphany.
Yep. That's right. Someone just woke up from their nap.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and let her show her where the other kids are.
You want to do that?
Yeah,
all right.
I'll be right back.
And then the last thing we do is we'll just walk through. Well, I think we've been going on for an hour now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we can't. We try to keep these things short, but I just can't do it. I think what I'll do is we'll take some questions. So Michaela is actually.
Oh, and do we have any questions of people that asked us questions before?
Oh, that's right.
We could pull up some of their.
I was scrambling to get this. I need to pull this up. Yeah, we actually did have a couple of questions. I've starred them. I think we're still on here. Let me pull up. I got some questions that we got emailed in, and that's precisely what I wanted to answer. Maybe there's one good one. Oh dear, we have a little dead space here.
La, la, la.
Yeah, it's okay. This is the first time we made a video quite like this. I mean, we've made several videos now, but every time we're just getting better and better.
Oh, somebody asked about the hanging the calendars. What's the best way to display them? Right. We have found that the easiest is to use these magnetic wood hangers, because they just you can just clip out the poster and clip in the new one. They're very inexpensive. You buy them on Amazon. Sophia's also been selling them as well. They're less than $20. It's like 15.
Well, yeah,
or 16
18.
Or
yeah,
18.
To get one wide enough for the calendar, it's about $18.
Okay.
It's about $18, and really, it's a magnetic poster hanger. You can just look it up on Amazon, look it up on Google. Magnetic poster hanger. We find that's the best. It's easy to change it out.
The other thing is that if you want to display like the entire season of Epiphany, which is over 2 calendars, you can hang both of them up at the same time with the poster hanger.
That's right.
And so some people don't have enough wall space to do that, but if you do and you want to see the entire season all at once, you can do that. You can either display one poster or 2 at a time.
For the seasons that are, because there are several seasons that are multiple posters. So Epiphany is going to be 2 spreads, right? Lent is going to be 2 spreads, and Easter is going to be 2 spreads. Of course, Pentecost and the time after Pentecost is going to be.
That's very long.
Yeah, that's probably too long to do all at once. But
yeah.
But yeah, one of the questions we got emailed in was about the difference of the feria days and the feast days and stuff. And I talked about that earlier, the different ranks.
Right.
So I think hopefully I addressed that question. And essentially the feria days are sort of the days that can be most easily superseded by something else in liturgy. So the church, in a sense, she kind of wants to balance how many saints' feast days she has of the second and third class, because the more of those, it's difficult. It's more different. The more crowded it is, it can be a little more difficult because the goal of the liturgy is we're walking through the life of Christ and the life of the church. And I guess she wants to lay that out in a way that's elegant for us. Mm-hmm. And so this whole liturgical year has been in formation for over 1,000 years. And so and there's been so many different saints and popes that have contributed to it. And that's another point, is the placement of these saints. Many times a saint is placed on the calendar in connection to when they died. So really you can think of it, you realize many times the placement of these saints, it's God himself that placed them on the calendar, because of course God is the one who's, governor of our life, of our beginning and our end. And so what's really neat, we've been able to see some of this, and probably on future videos we'll talk about it. But as we've been drawing these, we've been noticing connections of how a saint is on a calendar at a particular time of year. It almost seems like he was supposed to be there. Well, he was. And so by learning this, it's hard to put into words. It's just, you just got to live it.
There's lots of treasures buried
in the
liturgical year.
And we see, it's funny, we're not experts. I mean, we really are it's just a husband and wife, a family. We're just trying to rediscover this stuff. She just happens to be a really good artist.
Well, and also we do have a panel of advisors that are very knowledgeable and that we do lean heavily upon. So when I run into questions, I have a list of 5 or 6 people that I definitely trust that I can go to and ask questions. So I'm not relying upon just my own mommy brain to figure this out.
Right.
So,
but I think that about concludes. I guess we want to show some of the art on the Christmas calendar real quick.
Oh yeah, we didn't do that yet.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. You have to step out of here. Let's show some of the source images. And if any of you guys got any questions, and only got a few folks watching, please send me or shoot me questions. And really, this will be up. You can watch it later. I'm going to try to give it some minute marks so that way
Be right back.
folks can kind of look at particular things they want. But you got to be quick though. Oh, she's the one that's going to tell you most about the art. So she's stepping up. I'm going to pull up some of those images on screen right now. Here, hold on. Okay, so this is, here we go. Got a quick, here we go.
All right, you got some artwork.
There we go. All right, now we're going to walk through the images you've got for Christmas.
All right, real-time family life here.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so this was just the composition. I love this composition. These are angels, obviously, but in the calendar, I removed the wings, changed up the
to children, right? This is the composition
children.
for the
Yep.
image of the fairy day of
Yep.
the children around of Christ child.
All right, next one.
So
This is the 8 Beatitudes. I changed some of them that I didn't think made as much sense, but a lot of the images.
okay,
came
blessed
from this.
in the poor in spirit. That's the anchor.
That's the anchor.
For
Okay.
theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Very
Okay,
good.
and with the heart.
The
Which one is
heart.
that? read that
Blessed are the merciful, for they
Merciful.
shall obtain
Thank you.
mercy.
Okay,
there we go. Okay.
That's what we needed.
Earlier we were going through. Yeah. We got them.
Okay, next picture.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And there were several different images you took for that.
Here's
On the choirs of angels.
There's the different choirs. This
That's
is where I
right.
pulled a lot of my angel imagery from.
So
This is from the Missal, St. Andrew's Missal as well.
Again, if you look carefully, you'll see. So the dominations, the principality. Of course, I'm saying I'm.
The
I'm,
virtues. Was the
The
other one.
virtues. That was the one that we
Okay.
that we have forgotten.
Okay.
Virtutes potestates angeli.
Okay.
I love this. I like this image a lot.
Okay.
And then the flower. What was the flower you chose for?
It's called. It's one of its nicknames is the Christmas rose
Here we go.
because it blooms
You see,
during the season.
the crocus or the Christmas rose, right? So
Not
so
the crocus. The crocus is Epiphany. So this is
okay.
This is the Christmas rose though.
So if you notice, remember in Advent, it was dark. All of the backgrounds for some of the saints was night. Notice here, like behind St. John, we have the first rays of the light coming.
A little bit of
Christmas.
purple
Just a
and a
little
little bit of
bit.
pink. Like
Was
the dawning?
Yes, the dawning. It makes me think of Homer. Every time he talked about the dawn in the Iliad, or I think in the Odyssey, dawn the rosy fingered.
Yep.
Except for the rosy fingers haven't quite come up yet. That'll probably be in the Epiphany calendar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was so watch for that as we go through the year. And here's the flower.
Yes, the Christmas rose.
The Christmas rose in the snow. And then this is a lot of your composition for the main.
Right. So there's actually, and there'll be another picture that I actually pulled the composition from even more than this one, but this is in Bethlehem. That's the icon. And so that's what I did last year for the Christmas image. And I still kept the cave. But I actually pulled another image for the garments that was a little less icon in style. So I think it might be the next one. Possibly. No, okay. This
is for the circumcision.
This is the circumcision. I pulled most of it from this, although Saint Joseph, I changed quite a bit.
See, you could see here.
So anywhere Saint Joseph,
our rendition of it.
Yeah, Saint Joseph. I always try to make sure that his face looks very similar.
Well, you do. Well, for all one thing to notice too, she takes care to make sure the characters throughout all of the calendars are recognizably themselves.
Yeah.
So even as you see St. Thomas's feast day in Advent, look carefully through the rest of the calendar. Like whenever you see in Easter, which Sunday is it? The Doubting Thomas.
Yeah, first Sunday.
It's going to be the same face. It's going to be recognizable. She really works hard to try to keep that on St. Joseph's Day, Our Lady. Also, different characters when they're the same colors of their clothes and their robes. Right. We really try to make sure that those are all recognizable so the kids can really see the themes, see the story unfolding through the whole year.
So like St. John's feast is there, but during the Triduum on Good Friday, when he's at the foot of the cross, right. It'll be the same color garments, the same face. So that's the next set of calendars.
Yep. Well, yeah. And then here's where we got the days of creation from this part.
Yeah.
And some of you may recognize this this logo, Jonathan Pajot, and his work, The Symbolic World. He's a really big influence on our thought and what we've done. But this comes from an Eastern.
Actually, I think I might have saved the original that even
you think
came
you put
from.
It in? Oh, okay,
right
there we go.
Here's
the original that came from.
I think this is the original. I'm not sure. I found it, but it's obviously pulling the same.
Yeah, and actually, this is medieval.
Yep.
This isn't. This is Western.
Yep.
Not Eastern.
Yep.
And then we have,
That's the flight in Egypt. That's what I use for the Holy Innocence at the bottom, where they're going. There you go, right there.
at the bottom here.
Yep.
That's the flying engine.
So you see, I'm just pulling from a lot of really beautiful artwork, and I don't quite do it justice, but
Well, this is more folk art. You know, we're taking and learning from and pulling from art that high art and really all levels of art that's in churches, but yet this really is, we're a liturgy of the home. I mean, this art is not really meant, this isn't, you know, at a high quality to be in a church, but it is meant to be in the home, and it's meant to help recollect all of us to the liturgical year.
yep.
So, and then, okay, we have a few more, I think. This is Epiphany.
That's a little preview of what's
There's
coming
a preview
up.
of what's coming. Oh yeah. So we're gonna end our broadcast here in just a minute, and basically probably in a week or so I'll be making another one, and we'll walk through the Epiphany calendar.
Yep.
We will walk through the Epiphany calendar. But a lot of the designs of Epiphany came from this, and this is really many of you may have seen. This is one of my favorite Epiphany images out there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she didn't pack all of this into it, but
No.
I love this image so much.
Yep.
And then,
is that the last?
Okay. This is the Holy Innocence.
This
Here's
was
another
where I got
edition.
This is how I got the idea of showing the angels carrying the children, the souls of the infants who were killed while the Holy Family's leaving. So obviously my composition is way different than this one, but this was where the concept came from. I saw this and thought, oh, that's a brilliant way of representing the Holy Innocence. Right.
And then that's
from the Missal.
That is for this tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow. The Holy Name.
No.
Today's Friday. Day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Day after tomorrow. That's right.
All right, and then that's the
St.
one
Thomas
I got.
Becket.
Thomas Becket. Yeah.
St. Thomas Becket. Once again, if you haven't, check out our even if you just get the companion guide, go find the pages and just print those pages and read what Dom Guéranger writes about St. Thomas Becket. It's really, really moving, I think.
All right.
Oh, and here we are. These are Notre Dame, right?
Yep.
These are the figures. These are the apostles.
Yep.
From which he designed the Tympanum figure. And then this is Saint Sylvester.
Mm-hmm.
Saint Sylvester.
I had to rotate him, and then I had to switch his crozier to the other hand, because the crozier is supposed to always be in the left hand, so that way their right hand is
there it is.
Available to give a blessing.
To give a blessing.
So I had to switch hands in the composition. A little tricky, but I did it.
Now this is why Photoshop is so useful.
Well, no, I actually had to redesign his hands.
Oh, that's right.
Because I actually switched hands. Okay, so here's the Tympanum.
Here's the example. So this is we live right next to Clear Creek Abbey, as many of you know, and this our neighbor George Carpenter, he just finished this 7-year magnum opus of carving this Tympanum that's above the portal. And he carved this part of the Tympanum here. Another really good artist, Andrew Gordon Smith, carved the 12 apostles down here, but it's just a testament in stone. And if you notice, so we took the design for the 4 gospel creatures in our piece from this figure here.
So George Carpenter is not only a very fine stone carver, but he also does blacksmithing. So a lot of the iron work at the monastery was done by him, or was done by monks who were instructed by him. So,
and I'm going to get him to train me too someday.
Yeah.
Very good. Are we near the end here? I think we're at. We're at the end. All right. Well, very good.
Oh, look at that. We got another comment from Ben. He says, "Thank you so much for
our." Oh. Thank you so much. Our school bought and displayed the poster, even though the traditional mass is not. Wow. Well, good. We're hoping our ministry can be a bit of a
introduction,
I would say gateway to the traditional mass.
To learning about our history.
This is part of our heritage and history as Catholics. Whether you attend the traditional liturgy exclusively or not, and really there's so many riches in the traditional calendar that we are worth knowing, worth not forgetting and remembering, we believe. And there's a lot we can say
too.
That's right. And then here it's very helpful to have some background to talk to other teachers and students about the posters. Very good. Well, I'm hoping it'll take me a while, but I'd like to get a companion guide that is a little shorter, maybe 4 to 6 or 7, 8 pages. and something that you could actually hand to them, and something that families could use in the home, and they would accompany each calendar and give kind of a beginner layer of detail. And then for those who are truly interested, that's you go get the companion book that you go and read Dom Guéranger. And if you're really interested, if you're really interested, go ahead and get Dom Guéranger. This is a 15-volume set put out by Loretto Press. It's huge. It's beautiful. And I don't know if you know the story of Dom Guéranger. I'll tell super briefly. Dom Guéranger was a French priest who basically revived the Benedictine order in France. The French Revolution had destroyed all the monasteries, destroyed many monks and nuns, put to death, driven into exile. A few years after that, Dom Guéranger, a priest, felt called by God to reestablish, and he did. He reestablished the congregation of Solesmes, and through them revivified all the many of the Benedictine monasteries in France. And a few hundred years later, a group of KU students who were studying under a Dr. John Senior would convert, and a small group of them would want to become monks, and they would enter into one of the houses that would be a daughter house of Dom Guéranger's, Fougambeau. And then those monks, about 20 years ago, they came to Oklahoma and they founded Clear Creek Abbey. So Clear Creek Abbey is a daughter house of Fougambeau, which herself is in a way a daughter house of Solesmes. Even though the Abbey Fougambeau itself was established in like 1048, it's 1,000 years old. It's been inhabited and abandoned multiple times. The Benedictines of the congregation of Solesmes are currently in Fougambeau, and then the monks who are our neighbors, who are our inspiration for us becoming oblates for this project. So in a sense, we're really just trying to carry on the work of Dom Guéranger and Professor John Senior. I don't know if many of you know of Professor
John Senior wrote the book,
the Death of Christian Culture and the Restoration of Christian Culture.
Both which are very good books.
Very, very good books to read. So, and that's, basically we're trying to, we hope is our little effort to help families restore and to reconnect to liturgy, help ourselves. Well, we're trying to help ourselves reconnect. So, yes. Well, thank you guys, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We have a few of you guys who took the whole time. I know most of you will watch this after the fact. So please drop comments on the video. I will check them and respond. If you've got questions we didn't address here, please let me know. And then next time when we'll go through, our goal is to try to make one of these videos for each season. And then we're just going to continue working on this project. Thank you for your support. Really, we couldn't do this without you guys purchasing. We couldn't do this. We couldn't keep doing this like we are without Sophia picking us up and publishing these calendars for us. So, and we hope this may be the first of several things. We hope that God can help us to make many things that can help families live out their Catholic faith. That's what Liturgy of the Home is all about. So I think that's it.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
New Year.
And we'll see you next time.